early spring Thursday afternoon to you from Midtown Manhattan. I am Dylan Ratigan, glad to be back with you, and thank you for being here this afternoon with us. Also, my thanks to Ari Melber and Matt Miller for their wonderful work driving this ship in my absence. And as we look at today's big story, it does seem, however, that I never missed a beat. We are locked in yet again conversation about all sorts of things, not the least of which energy and gasoline prices, which continue to lean on average Americans and American businesses. In fact, at the White House just this morning, the president hosting veterans in the Rose Garden as they talked about wars and fighting and gas and pricing.
On top of these record profits, oil companies are also getting billions a year in taxpayer subsidies. A subsidy that they've enjoyed year after year for the last century. I don't want our kids to be held hostage to events on the other side of the world. I want us to control our own destiny. I want us to forge our own future. We're going to do all of this by harnessing our most inexhaustible resource, American ingenuity and American imagination.
Meantime, the Senate today failed, or decided not to, repeal tens of millions in tax breaks for big oil. Some of those tax breaks, as you heard from the president, date back to 1913. At that point, there were only 48 American states. Ford was still producing the Model T. It's been a while. Here's where we stand today on gas prices. A gallon of it will cost us, at the pump anyway, $3.92. That's up 20 cents in just the past month, 30 cents from what you and I were paying a year ago. But if you watch this program on a regular basis, you and I both know that the real price and real cost of gasoline, when you factor in our defense budgets, the wars, and environmental damage that is done to our own communities and around the world, the actual costs that we're incurring directly or indirectly are more like $14. We begin our coverage with an Iraq War veteran, Terron Sims, a fellow at the Truman National Security Project. He was at the White House today. And what would you say that you learned today, or that you experienced or understood today that maybe you didn't yesterday, and can you share it with us?
Well, Dylan, first, thanks for having me on today. Actually, the first thing really is I'm glad to see that the president cares about this issue and understands the need for leaders to put in place mechanisms to get control of the price of gasoline.
There's a very powerful quote that I want to read for everybody's benefit and then ask you to elaborate a bit on it. You said, and I quote, "I remember as a kid seeing cars and trucks lined up for blocks behind gas stations just to fill their tanks part way. 20 years later, I saw cars lined up again, but this time, in Iraq. There, the lines would stretch up to 10 miles long under the hot sun, under constant risk of attack by extremists. I realized then just how vulnerable it makes any country to be dependent on oil, especially the United States, which uses nearly a quarter of the world's supply." Describe to us how you see that vulnerability.
Dylan, this issue is about dollars and common sense. On the dollar side, it's easy as us as consumers and American citizens to feel the effect of these ever-increasing prices on gasoline. But on the common sense side, coming from the national security perspective, we are paying the price when it comes to our troops, our service members, having to go overseas in areas of conflict in order to ensure that we have these natural resources to have the energy that we need to continue to do the work that we all do day to day.
Yeah. And one of the things that really has struck me as we report on this is how remarkably inefficient we are with the energy that we do burn. It's not just that we burn a quarter of the world's oil, it's that 2/3 to 3/4 of the oil we do burn, we waste, whether it's stationary power generation, whether it is overland transportation. And it really struck not just me, but many folks, including John Hoffmeister, who was with us in Austin, Texas, former CEO of Shell Oil, how nice the match could be between our returning veterans and a new American 21st century mission for energy independence. Take a listen to Mr. Hoffmeister.
If we don't get our act together as Americans, we're going to live off the 20th century system until it falls over, and then we're going to be short of energy, out of jobs, out of money, and we're going to wonder what happened to us. What military people bring to the energy industry are two great competencies. One is knowledge acquisition, and the other is discipline.
Your thoughts on the veterans' opportunity to lead this country and to get the rest of us, myself and everybody else, to fall in behind folks like you as you form the tip of the spear for American energy independence in the 21st century?
Yeah, Dylan, it's about the modern form of American exceptionalism. Governor Kane's been campaigning on tapping into our talent, and our veterans represent the point of the spear when it comes towards talent. And so we have these innovations when it comes to energy, knowing that we cannot continue to wean on foreign fossil fuels and needing to create alternative energy for our nation. Our veterans have the skills and leadership ability to move forward and lead the way in making these forms of energy available to the American public.
Yeah, no, we could not agree with that more. I'd love to introduce you, if you don't know already, Officer Liz Perez, Petty Officer Liz Perez, and some of the naval folks in San Diego who I know are working on this. I feel like that you meet a lot of people that are working on this, and the more that everybody's able to meet each other and form a broader network, it seems that it'll be even more powerful. So wonderful to make the acquaintance by way of TV, and thank you for the time this afternoon, Terron.
Thanks, Dylan, and continue being vigilant.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to turn our attention to Dan Gross.